Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be on making a wine bottle cake. I want to come on here and show you guys how I do this cake. So I'm going to get right into it. The things you will need for this video is whatever size cake you're going to use. In this video, I am using 6-inch round marble cakes here. When I'm ready to use my cakes, I have my cakes in the freezer because I like to work with chilled cakes. That's just what I do. But you don't have to do that. But we have 6-inch marble rounding cakes. I have baked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these. But I'm not using all 6. We do this pertaining to the bottle that you would use, okay? And the bottle we are using here is Remy Martin 1738, 750 milliliters. You can purchase this at your local liquor store. This is the one we're using today. And you can see it's not that tall. The pricing for that just depends on your store. It's about $70, I believe. With taxes, it's about $74. You will need your buttercream, of course. I already have some made up here in my bowl in front of me. You will also need your bench scraper, whatever you prefer to use. If you got acrylic ones or the plastic ones, they all work fine. You'll need your turntable, a grip mat. You will also need your boards. I'm working with 2 boards. This 6 inches for the cakes for it to fit exactly to it. And then the larger one, I use the upside down method. That's how I do my cake because I always struggle icing the top of the cakes to get it flat and level. You'll also need a bubble straw, or you can use a wooden dowel. Got your offset spatula. I have my silicone spatula, and then I have some colors here on what I'm going to be using. I'm also going to be using a stencil, but that's going to be later. So we're going to jump right into the video on crumb coating the cake. So let me get some parchment paper. I left that off. Any old parchment paper is fine. This is an 8-inch board. So what I like to do is put my 8-inch board down, and then I put my parchment paper down on the board. Also, you can put a little buttercream under it, so that way it won't slide around as you're icing your cakes. Then you can put your gloves on if you have them. I mean, that's just the safest way because people, don't want you touching all over their cakes. Sometimes I do work without gloves. It depends on what I'm doing, but I thoroughly wash my hands. So to each his own if you care for that. What I'm going to do is take a little bit of my buttercream here, and I'm going to put it on the bottom of my paper, like that. Just a little bit. And I'm going to push that down. This helps my paper from sliding around. Now, what I'm going to do, I already have my cakes trimmed off. And I already measured on how big I want to do this. So here's my bottom to the cake. It's not going to be on this board, so don't mind that. But the purpose of this is to do it off, like to still have the spout of the bottle still up. And you're going to carve out here for this to go inside of the cake. So from here, it looks like I will need another layer. So this is 3. I'm going to put on another one. And let's use a 6x3. I actually baked 3 6x3s and then 2 6x2 pans. So once I put on that icing, it will kind of filter itself out. So I'm not going to use all these cakes. So I am using 4. I am using 4 though. All right. Just wanted to show you that. So I'm going to start with my 6x3 at the bottom. The 6x3 will be at the top and the bottom of my cake. And again, I like to work with frozen cakes because they're hard, they're not going anywhere. And like right when mine come out of the oven, I'll automatically let it sit for like 5 or 10 minutes, and then I go and cut the tops off. And then after I cut the tops off, or sometimes if they're in the pan, I'll cut the tops off while they're in the pan while it's still hot. So here's my marble cake. And then also remember to take off the back of this paper because that is not needed either. But before I do that, let's sit that down. Let's go ahead and put some buttercream icing down. This has already been whipped up. Actually, let's do this. Let me give this a quick stir real quick. I did this in ahead of time. You can do your buttercream ahead of time if you like. I like to do that so it saves me time. So if you see here, this is my buttercream. Just give it a couple of stirs. Everyone has their own way of making their buttercream. Me, I've learned how to make my buttercream. I also try out other people's buttercream just to see what tastes good. And eventually you end up learning your own methods and ways of doing things. I want to give a shout out to Miss Tasha too, because I took a class with her on how to get the buttercream smooth and air bubble free. So I want to give a shout out to Tasha. So thank you for your help in your class. It definitely helped me, and I definitely learned something from it. Okay, let's get that back there. Now I'm going to go back in here and stick that on there. And I just piled that much in this area. It don't have to be that much what I just did, but let's take some of that off. It's way too much. But you want to make sure you get it even though. I have no idea where my other spatula is. But you want to try to get this as even as possible. I kind of can eyeball it here when I'm doing it versus when it's just on top of the cake. So I need to keep practicing on leveling my cake to be even on the top. just trying to make sure it's all even. Now, I'm going to take my first cake. And normally when you do it, I'm doing this upside down method. So instead of me putting this bottom part like down like that, I'm going to flip it around like this. I'm going to flip it around like this because this is usually the top. So we're going to put it down like that. All right. And then we're going to icing the top. This cake is not going to be a filled cake. I'm not filling it. It's just going to be a simple crumb coat. You know what? I just realized I normally have another bowl here. Let me go get that. The other bowl is to help me catch the crumbs so I don't put crumbs back into my icing because I'm still using this to coat everything. Now, I'm going to take the next cake. And put that upside down. And then I kind of just take my spatula and just take some of this icing from over there so I can just use this to fill. Now, because the reason why I baked two different sizes because my other 6-3 pan damaged and I didn't feel like waiting for the other pan to come out. So I just went ahead and baked 6-2s and 6-3s. Now the difference with those is just the width of it. But sometimes when you bake a 6-2 and a 6-3, if you see here, this 6-3 here and this 6-2 here, it doesn't line up and it doesn't match, but the 6-2s match and lines up. But with the coating of the buttercream, when I started packing it on, it would all kind of level itself out. So that helps. Just in case if you all wanted to know if you can bake a 6-2 and a 6-3, there's your answer. It will not be uneven. It will even itself out. And then I'm going to put more on here so we can get our 4th layer up there. And then I'm going to end the cake back with a 6-3. Okay. Let me bring my bottle back over here one more time. Because sometimes as a baker, you want to make sure this is right. If I put my top one on here, now that I have the buttercream and stuff on, my cake will be this high. And because I don't want to touch the bottom and cake it up. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4 layers. So I really don't need the 5th layer. And let's take that paper off of there. I really don't need that much icing because I'm going to scoop up what's down in front of me. Make sure I don't get no crumbs back in my bowl. Now, since this will be the bottom of the cake, I kind of push down on here to make sure everything is leveled. And then I'm going to put a very thin amount of buttercream here. And this is just to help with the barrier of the cake board. Now I'm going to take my 6-inch round cake board and I'm going to put it face down on the white part of my cake. Looks like, push this over some. There we go. Normally I would have my cake level here so that way you can put it on top and see if everything is leveled. But right now I'm kind of eyeballing it. And then I just put my hand here and I kind of like see if I have the board flush to the cake. You don't have to do this step what I'm doing, but this is what I do when I do my cake. And then I just pick up the icing that's off the bottom and then I just start putting it on the cake. You can start from the bottom, wherever, like that. Just take it and drag it. This cake will be coated at least 3 times. I'm going to collect the rest of the icing that's down there. So we can get all of that. Also, I don't know why I didn't get the bigger board. Work on a 10-inch board, and I'm working on an 8-inch board. But it still works. Now I'm gonna get a little bit more icing in here. All I'm doing is filling in gaps so I can get ready to scrape this back down. So see, like right here, there's a gap. I'm gonna fill that in. And I'm a right-handed person, so sorry if I'm just turning this away from you guys. Pop a little bit more of that icing. And I do kind of take my icing up to the board, to the top of the board, like this. I bring it up to the top of the board as well, because eventually I am going to scrape that off. And I know a lot of you have been asking if I'm going to come back to my channel to do treats. I actually decided not to continue treats. I will be focusing more on the decor side of my business and doing cakes. I had a good run with doing that. with making all the custom characters and treats for baby showers and all events, but sometimes that becomes overwhelming because you have so many to do and it's just you doing everything. I mean, I could hire help, but it just still takes time to teach someone that wants to do this. But this is my approach, and that's what I'm doing. I decided to do. All right, looks like I filled in all the gaps. Now I'm going to this one. Now I'm going to take my bench scraper here, the flat side, and I'm just going to drag it, hold it slightly at an angle, and I'm going to drag the icing off of the cake. And I'm going to put that back into the bowl. And again, this is just a fill and crumb coat tutorial. You will not get your crumb coat clean and none of that, which is why you still see pockets on mine. But we can easily clean that up. When we go for the next round. And I just like to clean up my bottom there. Which is what I was doing, is checking the bottom. Now I'm gonna swipe across here one more time. And then I am going to freeze this for 10 minutes. Also, I want to also share something with you. You see this gap here that's right there? Because every time I swipe across, that is because the 6 and the 3, the 6-2 and the 3-2 is what I explained. That when you put this, hold your, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. When you hold this up against the cake and it kind of got like a gap in between the cake, and when it slides across, it's missing that whole step, which is why you see that gap there. 1, that can be because it's not enough ice in there. And 2, it's because of the different size of the cakes that I use. Or maybe you're not holding the bench scraper correctly. But to fix that, you just want to fill it in. You can fill it in now, or you can choose to wait when you do your next coat of buttercream. Because again, this is only to catch the crumbs of what I'm doing. And see, that took it right away. Now for the top, you want to just take your spatula and just go around the sides like that. You can also see how much icing you've been to put on the cake as well. And since this is the bottom, you know, you want to make sure you have all your sides covered at the board surface. Top and the bottom to me is like the most important to fill, to me. Especially if you're covering something with fondant. Now I am going to freeze this, and then we'll come back with another coat. Let's take this off. Actually, let me rinse